Good evening, viewers, and welcome to Calypso Showcase. Tonight we want to look at an issue that is of some concern to many Trinidadians. Are we losing the steel pan to the outside world? And to help us answer that question tonight, we have an ethnomusicologist from San Francisco, Shannon Dudley, and we have Patrick Arnold, the founding member of the Our Boys Steel Orchestra from Tobago, and a pan tuner in his own right. Gentlemen, welcome to Calypso Showcase. Perhaps you can start with you, Shannon. What exactly are you doing in Trinidad at this time?
Well, I'm in Trinidad this time for a 9 or 10 month stay to collect information for a dissertation, a doctoral dissertation that I'm doing on panorama music. So I've been here since September, and I've been collecting old recordings of panorama music that I couldn't get in the States, and interviewing a lot of people who have been involved with pan, and particularly with panorama, arrangers as well as players and people who are just fans of the music, in order to get some idea of how the musical style in panorama developed over the years and some of the reasons for it.
Is this your first visit to Trinidad?
No, I came once before in '89, and I played with Pandemonium Steel Orchestra then for panorama, and that was my first introduction to Trinidad.
Did you play with any steel bands this year?
Yeah, I played with several. I played with Patrick's band in Tobago, Our Boys, as well as Hummingbirds and Birdsong, and I took the tune with Phase 2. So I just wanted to get a little taste of these different arranger styles and how they worked, and it was really a great experience for me.
I'm going to come back to you because I want to know what attracted you to pan, but we'll talk about that a little later. Patrick, where are you based now?
I'm based in San Francisco.
As well, yes. Yeah. Do you make a living off of pan?
Oh yeah, by tuning.
Tuning pans?
Right.
Arranging and so on?
Well, mostly tuning.
Mostly tuning.
Yeah.
You are the founding member of the Our Boys Steel Orchestra in Tobago. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that started way back in like 1954, when a few guys got together. We were all members of a band, Symphony Stars, started that young, and we decided to form our own band, which was the Our Boys Steel Orchestra. From 19.
What prompted you to use the name Our Boys?
Well, I got the name. Well, they were influenced by like that Them Boys in Belmont, and I used to attend St. Mary's College, and there was a magazine by the name of Our Boys, and that it just picked up the name from that.
So 1954 this band was founded?
Right.
I remember your first entrance into panorama, the Tobago panorama, in 1963.
Yeah.
And also 64 as well. You had a good start.
Yeah, well, there were competitions before panorama. You know, we used to have steel band competitions before, and we won a few. But the real panorama, as it is today, started in '63.
We talk a little bit more about the Our Boys. Back to you, Shannon. What was your first encounter with this instrument? What attracted you to it?
Well, I lucked into it because I grew up with the classical training. I played cello and sang in choirs, had a little training on the piano, and I just happened to run into some American kids at Oberlin College, where I did my bachelor's degree in biology, by the way. And they had some pans that Ellie Minette had tuned that they had played in high school near New York City. And they just needed extra players. They had more instruments than people. And my friend knew I was a musician, and he wrote me into this. And the instrument was so fascinating to me that it became, that was 13 years ago. So I can't say a lifelong fascination, but ever since then I've been involved with pan.
What's your relationship with the Our Boys Steel Orchestra?
Well, when I moved to San Francisco, actually to Berkeley, California, to do my degree in ethnomusicology at the University of California, I met Patrick because I needed a tuner. Anybody who plays pan has to find out where the nearest tuner is. And also because he was a friend of Cliff Alexis, with whom I had worked for a couple of years, another Trinidadian tuner who is now in the Chicago area. And so first I had this relationship with him as a tuner, someone who could tune my instruments, and a little band that I arranged for at a community center. And later on, I got involved doing some arranging for Our Boys' small site up there in San Francisco.
Patrick, recount some of the high points of the steel band Our Boys for me.
From 1963, we won the first panorama in Tobago. And in fact, in 1962, we were national finalists in the National Music Festival, which at that time was held by the Music Association. And then in 74, we won panorama in Tobago, 77, 87, and now 93. We also made it to about 4 or 5 of the national semifinals, panorama semifinals, and about 3 or 4 music festival semifinals. And we've been always, you know,
knocking on the door.
Right.
Well, 1987, I think, was a significant year for you. You won the panorama and you made it to the national semifinals with a tune composed by Len Boogsy Sharp,
Right.
Pan Progress.
Pan Progress.
And maybe we can refresh our viewers' memory of Our Boys Steel Orchestra in 1987 playing Pan Progress. Well, if our viewers were looking closely, they would have noticed that the tuner's name on the banner was, in fact, Patrick Arnold. Now, Patrick, what is life like in San Francisco?
With respect to tuning or?
But everything.
With the band? Well, the band, Our Boys have been there since 1989 when we were invited by the Carnival people there to perform at the celebrations, the San Francisco Carnival. And because of the response from the people in the area, we stayed on, and the band is still there playing, performing all over state fairs and universities, you know.
All right, well, what we want to do tonight, in fact, is look at a specially prepared video that was commissioned by, perhaps Shannon can give us the history of it quickly. And this will show us what's happening in the San Francisco area, and by the wider perspective, we can get an idea of what is happening with Pan in the United States. Shannon, tell us a little bit about what went on behind the scenes as far as the production of this video.
Well, it was just a matter of jumping at an opportunity that I had to use the editing facilities at the university, and I worked with an anthropology student named Francisco Ferrandis, a Spanish anthropologist. And he had a good camera, and he had some experience, and I had this connection with the band, and so we just worked very hard in one semester to put this together as something that, you know, would be useful to our boys. And I'm so glad that we have a chance tonight to show it to people in Trinidad.
Our Boys Steel Orchestra was formed in 1955, around there. And since that time, we have been more as a local group in Tobago. In 1989, we were invited by the Mission Economic and Cultural Association, MECA, to perform at the San Francisco Carnival. After the carnival was over, because of the response from people in the Bay Area, we decided to stay around for a few months. Most of the people who are in the band now came from the area where the band was located in Scarborough. Some are children of parents who started off with the band, and some are friends. But it's like a neighborhood band, you know, people live very close to where the band is located in Tobago. We came here and we're still around trying to spread the culture of Trinidad and Tobago. Since coming to San Francisco, we have been finding it very difficult to get rehearsal space for a band of our size. But with the help of Mr. Patrick Prescott, the people at the Western Addition Cultural Center has provided us with one of the larger rooms. In the Bay Area, we have been lucky enough to have a person like Tom Miller help us with our arrangement. Besides being a very good musician and arranger of steel band music, Tom Miller has been a very good friend of the band.
Yeah, I didn't start the tuning business back home. I didn't get into it back home. What I get into was the music, and I came up here and I kind of widened my span into, I think I should be getting involved in making and tuning these instruments. So I see a future for me in it, yeah, in what I'm doing, and I'm looking forward to it. So long as I get the opportunity and the health and strength to go out and do it, I think I'm looking forward to it then.
After I went back home in '79, I used to come up here every year since then to do work for a lot of people. Because that's one thing with the steel drums. It's very difficult to find tuners. Tuners are like just a few in the world. So demand is great really at this time. Because you have steel drums in nearly every state in America at this point in time. That's another advantage here. You make a better living from tuning steel drums in America, because home is good at carnival time, you know, Mardi Gras time. But after that, for the about 10 months out of the year, there's not much activity with steel drums. It's a bit difficult to work in America as a whole. It's because with tuning you need to make a lot of noise, because the drums are sung with a heavy hammer, 8-pound hammer. It's taken down to 8 inches sometimes, and it makes a lot of noise. So in San Francisco you have to find an area where you won't disturb people, whereas in Tobago we just bang away, and the neighbors are accustomed to things like that. I was able to find this park, and that's why I'm here today. I'm here since for over 10 years. I'm working right here. I believe the problem with have people tune in drums is, I think it's first to begin you have to like it, because it's a lot of hard work, you know. But then you also have to have the knack for it. You also have to, it's a skill that it takes about 10 years really to be a good tuner. Dexter's been doing it about 2 or 3 years, and he's going to be a good tuner because he likes it. You know, it's not easy to come here and sing a drum, bang, bang all day. So you gotta like it, and he loves it. So I'm sure in a few years' time he'll be a tuner.
And Narrel is a special mention because he has helped us in so many ways since we are here in the Bay Area. He has been the producer of both of our albums. He has organized shows for us at Great American Music Hall and other venues. And he is like a sponsor to the guys.
I'd do it for you if you want it. For me, it was a great chance to have a band of high caliber from Trinidad and Tobago. You know, the kinds of players that you get there, and the level that they're used to playing at, especially Calypso music, panorama style pieces where you have long symphonic variations on themes. We're getting a little accompaniment here, huh? The tune We Kind of Music really had a lot to do with Trinidad in the first place. And on my own recording of it, I had a section where I had all the guitars and bass and synths and the horns, they all drop out, and I just put a steel band with just drums and congas and a couple of irons and a whole steel orchestra. And I overdubbed it on that version of it. But it was, you know, right in the middle of this airplay tune comes a Trinidad steel band sound. That song was an obvious choice for me because it had all the elements that I work with in terms of my own band and the orchestration, and then having a steel band section. And I felt like, well, here's a chance not only to make something visually more interesting than just, well, this is what we look like when we're playing, but to also tie together the whole connection between what I'm doing and with Trinidad steel band music and get people to have a really good look at what it looks like to play this music and who does it, where it came from, what the instruments look like, and tie it all back into my other work, which is putting the steel pan into other contexts. Our Boys became really a group focused on new music perhaps more than almost any of the steel bands, you know. And I think this is a real exciting development, having a group here in the States like that. And I think the second record that we did really was focused on that. It's all music written for steel band by steel pan players.
Without Harry Best on the harmonics, I don't think we would have been here in America at this time. Harry Best, through Harmonic Steel Band, was able to petition for the band to remain in the country.
We all started out as Patrick Arnold steel drummers. That was back in the 70s. It was basically about 4 of us. And everything we learned, basically we learned from Patrick in terms of protocol, in terms of discipline, practice discipline, performance discipline, and how you conduct yourself at gigs. When Patrick left in 1980, we changed the group's name to the Harmonics, and we just kept basically doing the same things that Patrick has taught us. With Patrick's case, you know, he has to provide lodging, he has to provide housing, he has to provide food, and then keep them working, you know, keep his whole group working, you know, and that's, I know even on the gigs that they're doing, they cannot totally support themselves off that. So I know he's making some personal sacrifices of his own, not only physically, but, you know, financially and probably emotionally too. I know it's a very tough act that he's juggling there. Yeah.
I've had a long relationship with John Simmons, director of the East Bay Center for the Performing Arts, and he has been very kind in offering the services on the center for Our Boys Steel Band to rehearse. San Francisco has been really my favorite city.
They play all over the Bay Area.
And the people,
Great American Music Hall.
you know, you don't have to play in these classics and all that type of thing alone, you know. They appreciate the panorama tunes and the Calypso music just as good, you know, even better, even more so. I think the band too is fortunate being in an area like this. I believe, not because it's our boy, but I believe we have done more for the steel band movement than any other group, any other steel band. Not because we're the best steel band in the world, but because we are in this part of the country where we play more so for Americans.
Welcome back to the live portion of Calypso Showcase, where our special guests tonight are Shannon Dudley and Patrick Arnold. And we're looking at this question of, are we losing pan to the outside world? And gentlemen, I'm going to now pose this question to you. Perhaps you can start with you, Patrick.
No, I think that's a question we've been hearing all over the place. We should be proud that all those other countries have taken to the pan. They are treating it as a musical instrument. And I think the whole idea is to have pan all over the world. There are about 80 steel bands in Switzerland, there are bands in England, Japan, and all over the United States, all over the world. What we as Trinidadians should be doing, Trinidad and Tobago, is to take this opportunity to benefit from all that's taking place in the world. These people look towards Trinidad and Tobago for everything concerning the steel band. They're for the pans, the sticks, the stands, the cases, the music, panorama scores, any other Calypso score, they want it. I go to the universities, they ask me. Now they can't get it. What we in Trinidad should be doing is providing these things. We should somehow get the best possible, best quality steel. You know, we have a problem right now in Trinidad and Tobago. We can't get good steel. Now, if we had a good quality steel and provided the best instruments, we have the best tuners, we have nearly all the tuners. If you could provide things like that, then you'll be benefiting from all that is taking place. It's an economic thing.
Well, contrary to what some people have warned me about or anticipated on my behalf, I have found that the pan men in Trinidad and Tobago, of all people, the pan men, have been very welcoming to me. And I've made a lot of good friends among pannists and arrangers, and I've been treated like a special visitor, and I can't thank them enough for that. And so I feel very good about the welcome I've got among the steel bands. If I have found any sort of suspicion or hesitation due to the fact that I'm an outsider coming in, trying to learn and perhaps appropriate or take some advantage of the local culture, it has been more on the part of maybe more educated people. The panmen themselves have been very helpful to me, and I have tried to reciprocate that welcome and that good feeling.
Well, I got involved like way back around early 60s. We had a problem in Tobago. There were not many tuners, and we had problems getting pans from Trinidad. And I decided to fool around, you know, practice by myself until I picked it up. These days, I think a lot of workshops could be held all through the year, because it's an art that takes a little time and takes a little hard work, and you can't just run one workshop. You need to have workshops all over the country, because if we have to take advantage of what's going on all over the world, tuners are the most important part of this project, and the world needs tuners, and we need to be the people responsible for providing these tuners. That's what we have to do. Don't talk about people taking away anything. We have to provide the things for the outside world. They should be looking at Trinidad for everything that's with respect to the pan, at least at this time.
Steel bands, performance instruction in pan, and that's what Patrick has been involved helping a lot of these universities get their bands started and keep them maintained, and that has really caught on. And of all places, you might be surprised to know that I think the Midwest, Chicago, Ohio, what we think of as a more conservative part of the United States, has embraced the steel band at the university level more than some other parts of the country.
Before that, we shouldn't be afraid of the world taking to the pan, because we should be proud that they have accepted it as a musical instrument. Most of the people who have been taking up the pan, they're already musicians, you know, they play other instruments, so some of them stop playing the piano, what have you, and they're playing the pan. So we should be proud. What we have to do, as I said before, is to take advantage of the situation and provide the instruments and everything to do with the steel band.